Okay.
And now 5 tanks for the Terran as well. The Terran army is slowly catching up, it seems.
Yeah, I'm a little bit, really, both players right now are playing it very safe. It seems both are very scared of just overcommitting to an attack, to a force, and losing it, and then just having a counter push. Especially on Yosarian's part, losing this game means he does not move on to the finals. And possibly maybe even Naive is a little bit nervous of losing a game and having to go to round 3 where the pressure is intense.
I like the Ghost Academy down for Naive, and I like the Sensor Tower down for him. He's going to be able to spot that Warp Prism if it tries to get into within the range of that Sensor Tower, even though he doesn't have view of the Fog of War.
But that is such a huge Protoss force.
Yeah.
And this Warp Prism sitting here just waiting for an opportunity to drop into the Terran's main.
You know, it's a large Protoss force, but believe it or not, the Terran force is actually larger in supply count. The Terran standing with 110 supply, while the Protoss with 103. Very close, but I'm wondering where's Terran's army? What is it actually composed of? Because it doesn't seem like it would be that big. Those 8 Banshees and 7 tanks taking up so much supply.
And with Immortals and so many sentries on the map to Guardian Shield.
But those tanks are going to bombard the Protoss army. I don't know how this is going to go for the Protoss.
Protoss needs to get all of his units within the Guardian Shield to help.
No, but Protoss is just tearing through those tanks. Once the tanks really need something to stand in front of them and the enemy army to block for them, because they do go down rather quick by themselves. This Protoss army has just destroyed that larger Terran army.
Wow, but these cloaked Banshees with no Observer in sight for the Protoss player is just going to be able to push this entire force back. Observer coming in,
and now those
get the
Banshees
snipe.
All 3 go down so quickly. Or 2. Or 3.
Finally sniping the 3rd one.
Wow.
Tanks now sieging up everywhere, blocking this entire choke up. I don't think there's any coming through here right now for the Protoss player. Must pull back where he's going to lose everything to these massive amounts of tanks.
Very poor positioning for the Protoss. Very, very poor positioning. He's within the firing range of like many
5 tanks.
Yeah, his army is going to just get destroyed even with those strong Immortals.
Now we do see Yosarian going for a drop in the Terran player's main.
Wow.
Using that as a distraction.
Using the Warp Prism to warp in the Zealots from his warp gates. But
now Naive cleaning up that attack, but still pulling all those SCVs off for so long.
Yeah. That was tense. I mean, the Terran even just pulled his SCVs completely to his natural. He didn't even bother putting them back onto his main.
Yeah, because this is so much harder to make a drop on.
Yeah.
There's, you could easily see the entire surrounding area. So really, you might be thinking this is a safe place to hang out right now, especially if we're having this kind of sneaky action going on.
And now the Protoss is showing a little bit of confusion in his production because he's building a robotic support bay and a Stargate. I'm not sure what he's planning to build from those 2 buildings. Clearly, Colossus from the robotics facility, but I don't know about the Stargate, what he's planning to build there. It's very hard at this point. If the Terran is able to really fortify his position with lots of tanks, it becomes exponentially harder and harder for the Protoss to actually break through. Those tanks can just do so much splash damage to all the units in the Protoss army. And it looks like Terran now taking his 3rd base as well as Protoss.
Yeah, it looks like they are both trying to secure that economic advantage right now. It's amazingly very even right now, about 800 and 800 coming in for both players. But what is their army composition at the moment? Right now we have Terran with a lot more army, 5 Banshees, 6 tanks, 13 Marines, 1 Ghost, and 2 Ravens, while all that Yosarian has is 2 Stalkers and a Warp Prism.
And you can really see that in the supply count, with the Terran having almost twice the supply of the Protoss, 107 to 52. And the Terran army is going to be able to go down and cancel the Protoss 3rd base because of that huge army lead. This game is, I think, at this point, strongly in the favor of the Terran once again. The Protoss really sacrificed his league when he sacrificed his army against those fortified tanks.
However, I guess we are going to have 3 bases, so yeah, as this game goes on, unless the Protoss player gets another base, we are going to see it going deeper and deeper in his favor. You are right.
Tanks really can just turn the tide. Once you get that critical number of 5 or 6 tanks with overlapping fields of fire, they can just destroy an army so quickly. You need to be so super cautious about entering into that overlapping range of fire of those tanks.
But we do have Void Rays coming out for Yosarian, which might be a decent choice. I mean, there are a decent amount of Marines on the map, but really those Banshees and I don't know. It's
the Banshees. The Banshees won't be able to fire on the Void Rays,
but the Ravens do have that auto turret that could cause some trouble for the Void Rays.
I don't know. It's a toss up between the Stalkers and the Void Rays. This is actually the best I think that Yosarian can do in this situation. The Void Rays targeting the tanks and the Stalkers trying to get control from the Banshees. Pretty good, quick thinking, I think, by the Protoss, and a nice unit composition on the fly like that. But he's still going to suffer from that bad supply count of 85 supply to 128.
Yeah.
The Terran army just growing and growing now off of 3 bases.
And we still have the Terran player just keeping these tanks as defense. He does not want to attack with them at all. It is his safety net. He cannot lose these expansions. He cannot lose the economic lead. We have some Stalkers and a whole Protoss force.
We have both forces moving into sort of a yin-yang pattern on the minimap. The Protoss force moving into the tank lane fire. He really should not be moving in with his Stalkers. Only the Voiders are needed, while the Terran similarly attacks from the bottom with his massive amounts of Banshees and infantry.
Killing all the probes off. Stalkers warping in, trying to get these Ravens out to stop the scouting.
But the Banshees are just going to run in, and the Marines are going to hit from the bottom of the cliff. And at the Protoss, Protoss force has been diminished completely. The Void Rays are going to take down this planetary fortress, but the Stalkers have been quite diminished. This looks to me sort of like a base trade situation, and I think the Terran is going to win in this particular base trade because he has such a much larger damage potential, so many more units, such higher supply, 136 supply to the Protoss's 70 supply. And yeah, that looks exactly like what's happening. The Void Rays continuing across the top of the map, going towards the Terran natural expansion and into the main, going to be using their amazing firepower to try to destroy all of those tanks defending.
The Stalkers trying to get out of tank rage, do as much damage as can, but tanks are just everywhere. They have range over everything.
So far apart.
But right now, Terran on no mining bases at the moment, while the Protoss still does have his one main mining base.
And the Protoss's main is now completely vacant. The Terran army has just destroyed everything in it. He has no more tech structures, no more warp gates, no more unit producing buildings, while the Terran's unit production is still hot and his army count is still high. I say this is GG for the Protoss. I don't know what else you can do. The Terran army is just going to move in from the Protoss natural to the from the Protoss main to the natural now and finish things off.
Yeah.
Wow, what an exciting game that was,
from
though.
Both players, Naive and Yosarian.
Great showing from both.
And Yosarian will, once he does GG, be going to the losers bracket, so he will be
facing off against
Wanna Be
Killed. Yeah.
Fighting for 3rd place, and Naive will be going on.
And GG from Yosarian.
Great. And Naive goes on to face Lazy.
Yep, Naive will go on to face Lazy in the finals.
Wow, which is 9 o'clock tonight, which is 2 hours from now. And
I know.
We've been casting all day.
It's
I can't even think straight anymore.
All I see is StarCraft, even when I'm not looking at StarCraft.
Yeah, all right. So we're going to go on to the losers bracket.